Plaintiff Mark Jessup says his motorcycle was taken by the defendant without his permission and later dismantled. He's here to prove he was the rightful owner of the bike and to recuperate his loss of $5,000. Defendant Brian Millard claims his former tenant gave him the bike in lieu of rent, so he owes nothing, and that's all he has to say about that.
This is a lawsuit over a '74 Harley Davidson Sportster 1000?
Yes, sir. I bought the motorcycle back in 2018 from a female friend of mine.
Yes.
The original owner had passed away. It was her father, so she was the next of kin to be able to give me the documentation to be able to get the bike.
Yes.
I got the bike over about a 2-year process from rebuilding the carburetor to rebuilding the starter and rebuilding the generator that's on it to get it to run because nobody else was able to. First time I rode it about a quarter of a mile from from a friend's house where the carburetor needed an adjustment, and I didn't have the tools with me, so I pushed it over to his house.
You kept the bike at your friend's house?
Right, after I rode it the first time, yes.
After you rode it the first time, you said to your friend,
I was going to come back and get it as soon as I had a truck to be able to move the bike back to my home.
Now what happened?
My friend was evicted from his apartment. He was basically homeless at the time, and he ended up getting arrested and put in jail.
And he's currently in jail now? Okay,
yes.
That's your friend?
Yes.
Do you have friends who are not in jail?
Yes, I have lots of friends that aren't in jail.
Okay. Now what happened?
I drove past his house and saw his property still sitting outside, and I realized that a couple doors down was this landlord that had my motorcycle on his front porch.
And the defendant was his landlord?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I stopped the car, got out, knocked on his front door asking for my property back.
Yeah.
And he said possession is 9/10 of the law, and he's got possession of it, and he's keeping it. He said I wouldn't see that bike again unless it was cut up in 1,000 pieces. His words exactly. But that was the bike when it was in my garage.
Yeah. And he said the bike is now his, so
yeah,
he wasn't giving.
He took possession of it.
So you're here to either get the bike back or $5,000?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
I received this Harley from a renter for past rent due.
So you're saying he owed you past rent, and he says to you, I may not have all the cash for the past rent, but how about I give you this bike?
Yes, sir.
Do you have title to it?
No, sir.
So you don't have the title?
I've got a piece of paper. I received the '74 Sportster HD from Joshua Ramsey.
Yep.
For past rent due. And I had a state police officer come out and run the numbers and make sure it wasn't stolen, missing, or misplaced.
But you don't have the title?
No, sir. I
have
didn't get the title from Josh.
This tenant now, that's his friend who's in jail?
Yeah, he's incarcerated looking at 30 years for methamphetamines and a pistol.
Oh, that's him?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, he's not happy.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Back to you.
Yes, sir.
You still have the title?
Yes, sir. Title is in my name, full and clear.
Exhibit A is, in fact, State of Indiana certificate of title for that vehicle with your name. And you got a letter from him in jail?
Yes, I went and got a notarized copy of a letter in jail stating that he didn't owe Mr. Millard any back rent. He done his went for remodeling the apartment that he stayed in.
And where is this letter?
Exhibit E, being informed of Mr. Jessup that is trying to reacquire his 1974 Harley Davidson Sportster 1000 from my former landlord, Brian Millard. It has been brought to my attention that my signature was used as a bill of sale as past rent owed to Mr. Millard. Sadly, I paid my rent with remodeling services for his apartments. The motorcycle was never sold to him, and I have never signed anything pertaining to a bike I didn't own. It was being stored on my property, and Mr. Jessup was able to transport it to his home. Any signature of mine that was forged without my knowledge. Respectfully, Joshua Ramsey, and notarized.
What about that?
He signed this piece of paper in front of me.
Is it notarized?
And in front of his grandpa.
Is it notarized?
Okay. So under the law, the plaintiff still owns the bike. He has the title. It was never transferred to anybody else. That person had no authority to give it to you, to sell it to you, to whatever. He owns it. So now the question, so he's entitled to the bike. As I understand it, the bike no longer exists, at least not as a bike. So the question is, how much money should he be getting? The value of a '74 Harley Davidson Sportster 1000 is put as about $3,500. At some point, $350 was put down as the selling price. Who put that in?
I put that down.
Why'd you put $350 if now you're saying you want $3,500?
Because the bike wasn't in running condition.
So you're saying you added value to it by the work you did. So therefore, the value of it untouched is $3,500. So I will find in favor of the plaintiff in the sum of $2,500.
He's just a redneck hillbilly who doesn't know the law and thinks he's entitled to something.
I have nothing to say.
I think he evicted my friend. I think he stole the bike from him and evicted my friend just to keep him from coming back.
Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. For more Judge Jerry, click here. For more Jerry Springer, click here.